We are talking about Elon Musk. So according to a regulatory filing, Elon Musk has become the largest outside shareholder in Twitter. He has a 9.2% stake in the social media company worth almost $3 billion. On the news, the price of Doge jumped 10%, SHIB 5%, and shares of Twitter went up 20%. Elon is, of course, a prolific tweeter who on March 25th asked his followers if they believe the platform adheres to the free speech principle, noting that the consequences of the poll would be vital. Adam, I'm tossing this to you first. What did you make of this news? Uh-oh. Adam, I think you're on mute.
Well, I thought a couple of things about this were interesting, actually. Sorry, Zach.
No, you got it.
So first up, the filing date for this was, I believe, March 15th. So that means that the filing or that the purchases and the disclosure of the purchases actually came before that poll happened, which is somewhat interesting. Mm-hmm. The other side of it is that, again, like in a world where Twitter really does dominate a lot of sort of the zeitgeist conversation, whether you're talking about tweets getting read on CNBC, or anything else, like this is an interesting solution to a problem that a lot of people have taken whacks at over the last couple of years, which is that if Twitter is not performing the function of like a town square allowing for conversation to really happen, outside of lines that are kind of approved by them, I guess, then how do you solve that problem? We've seen people say, well, you should go off and start your own platform. And there have been examples of that, but they haven't exactly gone well, both because there's this effect where when you have something splitting off to be a free speech platform, it tends to attract sort of the worst kinds of free speech up front, which then sort of taint the platform. And then on the other side, again, the question is just, how do you solve this problem? So again, you look at Elon Musk and just how much money he has. He is uniquely positioned to solve this problem, not by creating an alternative, which would probably fail, but by trying to really solve the problem with Twitter. So it's a very kind of interesting story, I think, and one that I'm going to be watching pretty closely.
I'm just glad that they hired the best shit poster in the business. I mean, you said prolific tweeter, Jen. We all know that you wanted to say shit poster because that's what Elon Musk is.
I left it to you, though, Zach.
He is a prolific shit poster, and now he owns a big chunk of the platform on which he produces those wonderful posts. Truly is fitting, truly is wonderful. The Doge price action here, it don't make no sense. But I guess like you can kind of scheme a way that it could make sense, right? Oh, okay, now Elon Musk, champion of Dogecoin, is on Team Twitter. Hey, maybe Dogecoin can be integrated into tipping or payments or whatever functionality Twitter is bringing to its Web3 stack. Hey, maybe Dogecoin can be part of the conversation too. So I guess I could see some sense there. It looks like we got a little Bart Simpson. We saw this pump and then this sell-off, which is kind of interesting. Not a sustained amount of attention, I guess, to the price at this point in time. But I guess one could connect the dots and say, okay, hey, Twitter is investing in Web3 technologies, and maybe with Dogecoin champion Elon Musk on the team, it becomes part of the conversation. But right now, that's just purely speculative. So interesting to see that those coins responded to this announcement. Makes sense that I think Twitter stock would surge on this, right? Elon certainly has a following, whether that's Tesla holders or Dogecoin holders or other people who are attuned to the conversation on Twitter. Makes sense that, again, hiring the chief or getting the chief shit poster to get on board would make sense that the stock of Twitter itself would jump. But yeah, a lot of stuff here. Jen, I saw your hand. What's up?
It's so ironic to me that Elon has gotten into so much trouble over his tweets with the SEC and even had to have a Twitter baby. So I think he still needs to have that Twitter babysitter. I think they're battling that out in court. And now he's the largest outside shareholder. I just think that is hilarious and so Elon Musk. What a meme.
So I think that the price action on Twitter does make a ton of sense because, again, the question here is if Elon were to, again, like deploy some of his significant wealth and not very much of it to try and fix the problem with the Twitter platform itself, well, he'd have to buy a controlling interest in it unless they decide that they just want to do it. And so if you're looking at the market today and you're saying, okay, well, Twitter relative to a lot of the other kind of tech giants out there is actually pretty cheap at $30 billion market cap. then it kind of does make sense to position yourself just in case he does decide to kind of do a takeover to then profit from that. Now, to Zach's point about Dogecoin, a lot of the projects that are in the space that don't really have a great use case, they have kind of more like a story around what their potential use case could be in some alternative universe. Like this is very, this is like a man who's starving for oxygen, right? Who's just taking literally anything that they can get and consuming that kind of to the ability that they can. So I think it's really a lot less about the news, and it's a lot more about the veneer of plausibility that something, anything, God, anything might happen, which kind of drives a lot of these price movements. And you can see that when it's like, okay, well, so it's Dogecoin that's moving, and then it's Shiba Inu, which really has nothing to do with Dogecoin outside of kind of drafting off of its, coattails. It moves less, and you kind of see this little domino effect. Kind of, the ripples get smaller and smaller and smaller. So again, like I'm definitely not buying Dogecoin based on this news. And really, again, like what's happened with Dogecoin since Saturday Night Live, in like spring of last year, really, as far as I can tell, almost nothing. Zach?
Yeah, and it's worth remembering that this is a passive stake, right? This is not this is not a seat at the table when it comes to product decisions. But often I think in the world of sentiment swayed crypto trading, some of those details are lost in translation. Jen, tossing it to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, Jack Dorsey, before he left Twitter, was really kind of outspoken about a free social media platform. And then he left, and we haven't really seen that narrative continue after his leaving. And so I wonder if this is what everyone thinks it could be, Elon getting involved and trying to change Twitter for the better, or if it's big news today and we're not going to see a lot happening because there is still a company there. There are still other people in charge who are making decisions who haven't really seemed to go in that direction.
I mean, I'm still really fascinated to see what comes of Blue Sky. Just last week, I think they made some hiring announcement on the Blue Sky blog, sort of adding to their roster of crypto native and also, crypto adjacent developers who are building out a potentially, decentralized Twitter, right? Like versions of Twitter that can be forked off and maybe run independently with their own set of rules and whatever else underneath the hood. So that is still, I think, in the works, right? We're seeing a little bit of momentum around it in the form of a hiring announcement last week. So I'm really curious to see what comes of that. But so far, it's been pretty quiet on that front.